Thanks everyone. I won't take up too much time. It looks like that's a bit of a challenge for today because I understand that there have been a lot of questions already from people here about how we can do better as a community to support people with disabilities and different needs. I appreciate the importance of today's forum in getting your messages across for the people that you're advocating for or for yourselves. So I do want to start today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land as well. And yes, I'm here today to introduce the next section of today's program, which is the current landscape of disability housing in the ACT. Of course, we know that housing is an important foundation of full and active participation in our community, and I understand that people living with a disability find even meeting that as even more of a challenge than maybe other people do. I wanted to talk a little bit about our housing strategy, the strategy that I launched briefly recently after 18 months of conversation. And I know that that was a long time, but it was important for me to make sure that that consultation process was sincere and that we did hear from as many people as possible, even those people who wouldn't ordinarily be part of a conversation around housing and homelessness in the ACT. So we brought together a whole lot of different people from different communities. We brought developers together with homeless people so that we could share stories and experiences and come up with all the ideas from all those different individuals about how we could improve housing and build a roadmap for the next 10 years for housing in the ACT. Our strategy includes a $100 million commitment for more public housing, as well as some significant work around public housing renewal of over 1,000 homes, which builds on the 1,288 that we have been renewing over the last 4 years. Of course, when it comes to public housing, we want to make sure that we meet the needs of our tenants, and that includes people, importantly, who have different challenges in their lives. About 37% of public housing households have at least one person with a disability. 26% of public housing tenants are over 65. The ongoing work that has been outlined in the strategy is to make sure that our homes are accessible and appropriate and affordable, that meets the needs for all of our tenants. Over the 10 years, the strategy will build more housing and make sure that it's housing that adapts to the needs of older people, people living with a disability, as well as people who care for them. Under the Growth and Renewal Plan, housing will continue to deliver livable gold standard or Class C adaptable standard homes so that these homes can suit the needs of people with a disability and can easily be adapted. The Growth and Renewal Program is a great opportunity to grow the amount of public housing properties that are accessible for these purposes. Seed funding through the Affordable Housing Strategy through the Innovation Fund will also be there to provide opportunities to look at different projects that respond to housing and accommodation for people who are living with a disability. And that builds on the work that the ACT government has already been doing with our partnerships through with organisations like Project Independence, with Ricky Stewart House, with the Aboriginal aged persons housing. We're building some mixed accommodation in Kayleen with community and public housing together. We want to continue to make sure that as we move forward in building on our strategy, that it includes some innovative ways to meet the needs of people who are going to be living in those homes. So we'll continue to work with the National Disability Insurance Agency, as well as people within the sector and people living with disabilities, their families and others, so that we can make sure that we identify the needs of that community better and provide better specialist support through our accommodation as a government in our public housing. We've also got built in collaboration with ACT Health as well. We're building some housing for people who are experiencing challenges or living with a mental health condition. One of those is being built in Florey, and that property will be able to support those people who are currently within the ACT Health system to live in a home and bring together the resources and expertise to support those people better. So, of course, the government is continuing to look at different ways that we meet the needs of different individuals in this community. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stay here today for the rest of the day's conversation, but I have Housing ACT here. Louise Tarrant is here, and I know you have lots of questions, so I please encourage you all to ask all of the questions, and if she can't answer them today, she'll bring them back and we can discuss them about how we can respond better to you. I know that it's for parents, must be incredibly frustrating to not find a home or a decent place to live and support for your children, and that should be the case for everyone in our community. So I encourage you to continue to engage, continue to advocate for change, and please provide all your questions and we'll do our very best to respond to them for you. Thank you.